country's military defense operations require a high level of secrecy and privacy to be effective. And the civilians who understand and agree with this strategic national defense philosophy are left to trust that the highly trained experts who are responsible for their protection will be successful. There is, however, a very dangerous problem with this common military philosophy. The problem is that if the military defense systems and operations are covertly taken over by an enemy, held prisoner, silenced, and forced to act on behalf of that enemy, who would know? According to a country's collective common agreements and national defense laws that all citizens believe will protect them, a population will seldom be informed or even allowed to become aware of the full danger and threat upon them in an emergency situation. Therefore, our best technologies are rarely exposed, and we have plenty of them. Usually, the people are never told the full story after a situation is controlled and resolved, due to the protection of those same secret operational procedures and orders that will be used again in a future threat. National security is therefore a rigidly controlled, ongoing secrecy that is never broken nor compromised. We have oversight to protect us from corruption and misuse of the national secrecy policies, but we have nothing to protect us from a subvert, silent, invisible invasion or takeover. If the unthinkable should occur, and our government and military find themselves with a gun held to their heads and forced to remain silent in seemingly normal compliance with national security regulations, who would know? What is worse is the possibility that the military and government compartmentalized structure would actually lend itself to such a silent takeover, providing nearly all of the institutions and agencies to be always half in the dark and themselves unaware of the total situation. This presentation is not about a fear of failure of our country or any other country. We do not propose that our government and military are under siege. But we do expose the weaknesses in the security systems of our country and propose that exotic technologies are present and being used in our country upon our people by someone. By the looks of them, they do not appear to be human beings. Non-earthly technologies are being used in other countries as well, and although they are not completely covert, they have been detected by a few individuals beginning in the late 60s. And although we as a human race have groundbreaking nuke technologies and experiments running with high-tech, state-of-the-art exotic technologies of our own, those being spotted in our current skies and on our grounds are not ours.
By being hidden, by being disguised as different kinds of entities, they can interact with and have effects on humans from a variety of approaches. One is to torment, and that's to cause people problems, to get them to have unbearable lives, to not be able to live in certain places. They have a greater ability to do telepathy. They can shapeshift quite easily. They are masterful shapeshifters. The jinn are looking for ways to manipulate abilities for their own ends.
It's impossible to address the reality of the extraterrestrial presence unless you've studied history. Because they have been with us for several thousands of years. And history is filled with it. When I left the military, we knew of 4 different groups, and one of those groups looked exactly like we do. They were all humanoid, but one was literally, totally human. I got so damn sick and tired of arguing with skeptics who've never bothered to do their homework. It's easy to lie to the American people because they really don't do their homework. As long as you keep them entertained, they're happy.
serpent people, the idea of reptilian travelers from other worlds, I first brought up in books in the late 60s and 70s and developed there that they are interacting with it. An actual snake itself, poor creature, is really very helpless and not that intelligent. And they can't hear very well. They sense with their tongue. So what is it that a serpent would be wise, that a serpent would be teacher? But it may be someone who appeared as a serpent or as a reptilian being that came from the stars or came from somewhere else, another dimension, another time spectrum, and interacted with us throughout our civilization. The idea, Agartha and the ancient serpent people, the Naga of India. I mean, always this is a serpentine race that lives, but yet very handsome species that we've been interacting with, the wise ones from the caves.
I believe that they have a multi-pronged campaign, that there are various ways that they are looking to subjugate, dominate, subdue, and even banish human beings. In the folklore that has evolved from human experience with
the Anunnaki hybrid, called the Anunnaki, are at least one of the current active hybrid humanoids on planet Earth. This is verifiable without question. This species, the Anunnaki, is a direct downline lineage of their predecessors, the Anunna, who were the first Anunnaki hybrids recorded as stepping onto planet Earth thousands of years ago. The Anunna had the altered genetic ability to cope with a planetary physics, of which were wholly unnatural to them. The most recent and current hybrid line of these people are the Anunnaki. The Nagas are listed in title as an Anunnaki race of serpent gods, bearing many serpentine qualities. Also, there is a human Naga people living in the Nagalands in northeast India. We're not talking about the Nagaland humans here. We're talking about who they call the Nagas their gods.
That looks weird. It doesn't look right. It's all distorted. It's a snake face to me.
Because of what we thought we were seeing in the videos, we incidentally developed an unusual forensic unmasking technique by experiment with pulling the background forward and softening the foreground back. Using this with the manipulation of lights and darks in the images, we exposed a surprising presence. Their faces often look cartoonish, like the character statues on the Maduri temples of southern India, and upon temples of other eastern countries. They are usually bangled and draped in gold accessories and rich garb. But I have found that this cartoon face, too, is just another mask over their real likeness, of which is completely hairless. But the strangest thing I have found repeatedly is that they seem to have trouble breathing air, and are always emitting a mist or an ether from their mouths, and usually breathing something in from an apparatus of some sort, even while running and moving about. From these unmaskings, I have found that they may not be able to breathe regular planetary air. This same breathing apparatus, as a drip of ether from the mouth, is even included on statues of them from various eras. As far back as ancient Sumeria, you can find apparatus or tubes of sorts attached to the chins, directly under the nose and the lips of the statues there.
The Anunnaki have been called by many other names throughout their history. They list as the Jinn, the Nagas, the Serpentine, and even the famous Arabian Jinni or Genie. In a bottle describes the worldwide knowledge of these beings. These smaller, but still powerful new hybrids arrived into the earthly scene around 2000 BC, and their origins can be directly traced back to ancient Sumeria, to the Anunnaki there. These can be reviewed in the works of Sumero-Tamil studies. The current race appears to be the third race of this line. At the top of the Anunnaki stealth technology is masking. They use a holographic technology much more advanced than the holography technologies of today's humanity. They use this holography to cover themselves, shapeshift, misdirect attention, distract attention, and alter the appearance of an environment or thing. They can project holography into thin air at times. The Nagas share a timeline with the Hindu gods of India, appearing in history at the same time, appearing in the same territories, and sharing many of the same qualities. Upon comparison, there is no doubt that these beings and the Hindu beings are directly related.
Evidence the deer have eaten my bushes alive. I don't understand. They're eating everything. Oh, deer. What's that? Hello? Hello?
Notice, if you will, the camera blurring.
What's that, dude? Hello? Oh, what the is that, man? Get inside, get inside. Dude, it's gone. Hello? Someone out here? What do you want? Oh, shit, man.
People continue to report that there is nothing wrong with their cameras, and only UFO and or alien photos and videos are of poor quality. As you can see, they are difficult to film because they are so hard to see. This is due to their ability to blur the film, as well as cloaking themselves.
For years we've had the technology and the ability to bring relief to those people who have seen and filmed what seems to be bizarre creatures, sky anomalies, and strange occurrences from the usual stream of hecklers, dissers, and insecure people who cannot seem to cope with their own reality. This reality is as old as humanity. I'm not sure what the problem is with people today. There are two non-human species that leave evidence regularly in our world. and the Anunnaki have unchanging, particular, and distinct signatures. These signatures can be detected without forensic photo equipment and unmasking skills, but due to the insecurities of many humans in our current society, technology such as the camera and the photo analyzer have provided grace in which we can easily soothe the nerves of those who are under that insulting treatment with some hardcore proof, time after time after time, with regularity and stability.
They're not just astral or holographic. They're physical.
To most easily recognize and identify the Anunnaki presence, we have compiled a signature checklist. The list is produced from viewing over 40 cases of Anunnaki appearances and location infiltrations. This checklist describes several identifying signatures that regularly repeat and are present in each and every incident, either in part or in total. They list as first sign signatures, the second sign signatures, and the third sign signatures of Anunnaki presence. These three sets describe the level of the situation should you feel the Anunnaki are present. Number 1. One of the first signs is orbs. Pulsing orbs, either pulsing in the sky or on land, floating or stationary, appearing only once or appearing repeatedly.
Wow. What in the world? It's actually it's kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie.
Number 2. Odd shapes or faces in the trees or bushes that seem stationary but slowly shift or morph into a different face or shape, and statue-type beings with loosely defined, cartoonish, and misshapen humanoid forms. Signature number 3. Ghost or spirit sightings, shadow people, or Slenderman sightings. Repeated, quick, shadowy movements, barely caught out of the corner of the eye, accompanied by strange sounds that have no explanation. Number 4. Unusual, continued pulsing groups or groupings of colored lights, often changing colors, anywhere, in the trees, on power lines, street lamps, rooftops, or just floating in the air and sky.
Okay, so whoever said that I'm full of it, then they're not stealing electricity. Check it out. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them to prove you're wrong. Just look at them all. Look at them all over here. That's right on the bridge, and that bridge has no lights.
Alright. I'm assuming that's just the camera trying to focus. But for whatever reason, that thing... Okay, now I'm not touching the tripod. I don't know if it's moving down the screen, but the camera's on a tripod now, not moving at all, so...
Number 5. Camera difficulties. The most common being blurred footage and images. Trouble holding the camera onto the target without shaking or moving away from the intended shots. Fuzzing and clouding in the film. Signature number 6. Strange animal behavior or disturbed and uneasy animals and pets.
There's something up there again.
Number 7. Flickering power or complete repeated power outages in the home, building, or on the entire street.
The human smuggling unit is a busy department. Since its creation, the team has arrested over 4,000 suspects.
Saw that, but ooh, something just got thrown at my kitten in the kitchen. I can see the shadow of it right there.
And lastly, number 8. UFO sightings. Usually accompanied by pulsing lights of changing colors and shifting shapes around the flying object. Of these main first signs, even only 1 or 2 implies the possibility of Anunnaki presence. The more the signatures one might detect, the more the potential for Anunnaki presence. We find more of these signatures and more images and evidence in the footages we investigate than the camera person realized or detected almost every time we take apart a clip. People will not easily recognize what they do not know exists. And to review footage with more information about what to look for is important in order to expose their activities. This list of first sign signatures should help. Second sign signatures. Number 1. Names. In order to discuss or investigate a sighting or situation, the internet and library search terms that reveal the most accounts of these beings will follow. Through their own influence, the Anunnaki have given themselves many earthly names, and most of these are clouded in mystery, deception, and misdirection, as this is their concordant nature and behavior toward humanity. Their greatest lie is that they are angels. This is a plagiarized name, and they use it frequently. They never have been and never will be what humanity understands as angels. Throughout history, they have used holy names such as saints, gods, divine beings. However, they have most regularly been called demons. They have been given separate names for each of their masks and impersonations as well, all of which are the same being. They have been given separate names for their abilities, such as shadow people, ghouls, jinn, iblis, devil, and genie. They have been separated by color. The green, blue, red, black, and yellow demons. These are all the same species of Anunnaki, and although there are larger and smaller ones, they all possess the same abilities and masks, and they all use the same types of masks in order to influence the situation. In fact, many of the ET or alien sightings and contacts are these masquerading beings who are loaded with holographic techniques. Obviously, these beings make a career out of collecting invented names and stealing the names of others. So the full list of names they use is much too long and tedious to list here. The truth is much more simple. They are Anunnaki hybrids, direct downline genetic hybrids of the ancient Anunnaki race, who historically left literally mountains of records of their inhabitants and activities on this planet. These Nagas were not a favorite of their predecessors and were outcast according to their own history. One might determine that this would only make a bad attitude worse. Assessed in the generous and available records of these people, the Anunnaki are what is left of their predecessors, the Anunnaki, and the youngest of their race. They are believed to have much longer lifespans than humans. Apparently, they were hybrids who were genetically manipulated to endure our planetary physics, whereas their first progenitors were not. It remains unverified as to whether their predecessors simply died out or were destroyed in their ancient wars, or simply left the planet. What is verifiable is what they left behind, the Anunnaki. So, one of the first second sign signatures would be finding any of their many names upon investigation or inquiry through research or consultation, should you find yourself in a situation with them. The most common of all, of course, is a ghost, but beyond such a slippery term are more direct names. The proper name is the Nagas. This name is the direct title from their own species name, the Anunnaki, of the Anunna, the same famed Anunnaki of continued history on planet Earth. We refer to them by their true species name given to them by their predecessors, Anunnaki. Naga means serpent. Anunnaga is a single individual, and Anunnaki is the total genus line. Even the names Jinn and Genie are a kind of proud insult as to their genetic disfavor and notoriety.
take note of the camera quality during this filming.
According to researchers that delve into the personalities of these beings, they almost take pride in the insults and slights against their disfortunate heritage. With what is known of the psychology of these people, they are clearly bitter and hostile outcasts and will turn on you in a hot second. They truly are tricksters, and dangerous ones at that. Beyond all this misdirection and distraction, the next greatest misconception is that they are not physical, like humans. They are quite physical and can astral project themselves at great distances and with astounding efficiency. The most misunderstood facet of these beings is that they are physical entities. People do not realize that they are physical and have physical shelters and many aerial craft. All of their technology is loaded with masking, holographic shielding, and cloaking devices. Their biological physics is a mystery still, and they are only humanoid and not fully human.
Notice the camera difficulties here.
Needless to say, we here in America make it rather easy for these psychically advanced people to sneak around and have their way with the metaphysically uneducated populations of many Americans. Most other countries have always known about the Anunnaki and have fought them openly in their society.
As everyone knows, alien and UFO footage is always dark and blurry, even though we have state-of-the-art cameras. Why? They interfere with the picture and can warp videos and snapshots with their advanced abilities.
The next second sign signature would be actually seeing the physical beings and filming them. Masks are the important phenomenon here. There are common masks that they use all the time. The clown, the vicious dog, the abandoned child, the black-eyed children, the slender man, the shadow being, the gray alien, the long-bearded man, and the classic demon. The old King Arthur robed and jeweled style garb of that 6th century era is a favorite that has stuck with them for centuries. But they have favorite characters. If you pay close enough attention, you will notice the cartoonish style of all of these masks and images. The most identifying signature of all of an Anunnaki sighting is the holographic appearances of double and triple heads looking in various off directions from the real head of the individual. This was lavishly displayed as a known Naga characteristic in India. It is always present in an Anunnaki sighting. Often these triple heads have various garb attached to them, as if they are projecting 3 or more different beings overlaying their real image. The last and third type of signature of the Anunnaki race comes by deeper investigation and analysis. Unmasking these beings reveals their true likeness and much of their true physics. We use the term forensic art exactly because these beings are actively hostile upon humanity, committing crimes against us. They are no less a criminal for invading our homes and harming our bodies and our livelihoods than any other aggressor. These unmasked signatures are: number 1, head and face. Oval head, dark round human eyes, no hair. The ears are very low on the sides of the head and droop or flap outward. The nose is long on the bridge and flattens out at the wide nostril, tipping down and out over the mouth. The mouth is high on the philtrum, close to the nose, and the lips are thin on the top and fuller on the bottom. The chin is usually receded, but not in all cases. The brow is heavy and lobes over the eyes. There are no eyebrows. The head is flatter on top, according to the size of the individual. The taller the individual, the longer the oval head and larger the body. The skin around the mouth and eyes is considerably darker than the rest of their skin. The fingers on the hands are longer than human and usually hang curled inward. Their necks are long and seem to be able to stretch like rubber. Their shoulders are slumped and curve quickly downward, unlike the wider and more sharply angled shoulders of a human. They are long-waisted, and their legs are much shorter to scale than the torso and legs on a human scale. Most notable is the gap between the legs at the lower torso. The space between the legs at the end of the torso and beginning of the thighs is very wide, and the buttocks are flattened and squared rather than rounded and full as a human. Their legs are thin as they go down to the feet, and the feet are thin and long, sometimes wispy in appearance. The Anunnaki do not only make regular rounds to common everyday people, but are found involved with conflict and issues here and there involving militaries across the globe. They make increasing and bold appearances performing ridiculous and outlandish scenarios and aerial craft. do need education and tougher skins. Fear is their main tool, and to expose them eradicates the most of it.
The first reference to a serpent in ancient texts is in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh went on a search to find the meaning of life and was told that the plant of immortality lay at the bottom of a lake. After retrieving the plant, Gilgamesh lay down to rest, and a serpent came along and ate the plant of immortality, and Gilgamesh went home empty-handed to die a mortal death. The link and only differences between the Naga and the Hindu deities is a hierarchical rank, the Nagas being but a step below the Hindu gods, and yet both biologies are constructed with plasma. The Nagas both fear, worship, and intermarry with the Hindu gods and primarily serve their needs. The handmaidens of the gods are the Nagas, a mere hybrid alteration below them, and yet are still allowed the title of divine. Matter can be found in solid, liquid, gas, and plasma states on our planet. The Nagas being made of smokeless fire crudely describes the state of earthly and universal matter called plasma. Plasma can be readily seen for a few short seconds in every lightning bolt that occurs on Earth, as well as in the Aurora Borealis. Of course, the Aurora Australis at the South Pole is also plasma. The Earth itself is continually encircled with a solar wind, which is simply a rarefied flow of hot plasma, made of free electrons and positive ions. Plasma is a common form of matter. Plasma is responsible for most of our present understanding of the material of the universe, and is both visible and invisible to the human eye. The seemingly impressive usage of plasma in the Anunnaki technologies, such as the orbs and pulsing colored lights, is a mere form of matter and nothing magical at all. Funny though, to see the plasma in their own physicality as the arcing and leaping snakes from the center, as with a coffee table plasma ball. This, of course, is where the serpentine nature is coined by the similarity of shape and movement with the nature of their own physical matter. If you were to film in slow the speed of the plasma ball for viewing, you will immediately note the characteristics of the plasma as identical to the holography and the legends of the Anunnaki serpentine gods.
Okay, does anyone know why when you take one of these little plasma globes and you take magnets, just a bunch of bar magnets here, and you put them near the circuit board that it contains? Well, for one, obviously, magnetism and electricity are related. That's why magnets are attracted to. There's a little circuit board underneath there. As you see, this is probably a stupid thing to do, but I did it. When it goes near that circuit board, underneath it, I've rigged up to hook up through wall outlets. Why does it make the electricity focus all in that little ball, and then I can pull it out of there with one little strand, and if I pull out one little strand, I can do that. But if I pull it away a little bit more, it'll narrow itself down to just a fewer and fewer strands. See, it's only a few now. I'll let it get a little bit closer. There's different angles I can do that here.
Skin had been all frosted with a dew.
A demonstration of what normal trees and normal environment footage are compared to what is not normal involves more than just blurred film. Anyone can manipulate photos and footage. It's easy. Photoshop has become a household word. In reported cases, the blur is accompanied by several other factors, such as visible frequency distortion, unnatural jitter in the wind, large swaths of footage blurred badly compared to remaining areas that are not. There are always clouds and wind in the shots of the trees, and glowing orbs or flashing sparks speckled through the thick of the trees and foliage. Notoriously, a camera person has trouble staying on the target. You cannot rely on just the trees to verify the presence of these beings. Although it would make one wary and watchful, there has to be more signatures to be certain.
They begin as orbs in the sky, and then move into the trees, clumping in hazy shadowed forms, hazing the environment, burning small plasma lights, always staring at you.
In most cases, there is a long-running documentation, and this is because it seems to take these entities a long time to achieve full physical presence. Of course, they always look the same and are easier to identify than spirits or cryptoids. Concurrent local reports by many people make it more likely that it is a real occurrence. All true cases of Anunnaki infiltration will produce all of the signatures eventually.
The footage is always blurred. The wind is always blowing. The camera is always out of focus. They form like statues in the wind. They always look the same, and eventually they move around.
The anomalies of the trees are just the beginning, and most easily dismissed.
Number 1 on our list is in Central Texas. This camera person began reporting in September of 2011. The situation began with the orbs glowing in the trees.
The streetlight looks weird. It doesn't look right.
2 faces appearing.
It looks all distorted. It's a snake face to me. It's a snake face.
And then into whole entities morphing into the trees. The beings pose like statues and burn flare-type plasma lights for days to weeks in the trees and bushes. Eventually, there were full bodies spotted along the neighborhood tree lines, in the streets, and at local shopping parking lots in town. Once again with little movement and nestled back in the shadows and foliage. Many orb and UFO reports come from this area by local residents and by people in neighboring towns and cities. This region of Texas is an orb and UFO hotspot.
Case number 2 is in Northern California. One of the most incredible cases of Anunnaki infiltration upon a home and property is this one. The reports began in October 2011 and continued heavily with pleas for help from government and military as the owner and his family were under alien assault. As the reports progressed, his urgency increased and his use of firearms was undertaken to ward off the Anunnaki aggression.
Okay, welcome. We're going to do a quick monkey rundown as it pertains to our cabin and the level to which they surround us, and they really intimidate us with their presence. Anyway, there's one right there moving in with the orbs. They're going to launch orbs today. Excellent. All right. Good times here. Yeah, little help? Anybody? Yeah, anytime would be good. Now, anytime would be good.
How physical are they? They can move physical things, manipulate physical weather, alter physical frequencies. Their bodies carry weight of a different kind. Plasma is matter, but in a lesser dense form. In fact, the argument of whether plasma is the fourth state of matter is a hot topic right now amongst science buffs. To what degree does it have to densify to be considered matter? Ether is considered matter and quite physical. You'd really have to ask a scientist. The important thing is that they affect matter, and in a big way. They can start fires, they can mold fruit, destroy crops.
A little update on the goings on around the cabin.
Shut off electricity, they can cause car wrecks, they can torture people and animals. I don't see where it matters how dense they are. The effect they have on physical matter is a big effect, almost more than we do.
As we see them sort of jerking the way out, the way that moons often do. Well, I'm getting kind of fed up. That's great. Look at that one. Big square thing. What in God's name is that? Jesus. Back them up, away from my family, or we're gonna have to aerate you. That would be because I ain't getting no help from nobody. Where's the goddamn army? Where's the goddamn Navy and the Air Force? Are you kidding me? Folks, you better help me out here. Somebody better calm me down, because, how would you react? Tell me that. Tell me that. How would you react if this was going on in your backyard? Huh? I know how I'm going to react.
No one ever came to his aid, and the increasingly intense reports ceased abruptly in April of 2015 as he was shown haggard and worn, holding his wife in his arms.
Gonna come in pieces is what it's gonna be. Comes, nobody cares. And I'm the crazy one? Crazier. Back up. Figure it out.
Over 50 pieces of footage revealing the Anunnaki presence and activities on his property were logged. This case is particularly sad as the family was seen in the progression of videos to have been suffering increasingly up to the last video left us.
Number 3 is located in Southern California, beginning with UFO and orb sightings. This California resident began filming aliens in the trees of her backyard, following the same scenario as the other cases. These orbs progressed to large beings that began moving around her property and eventually into her house. This activity began in 2010, and by 2012, this resident began making regular reports on the increasing activity around her home. The Californian made it very clear that they were not friendly and were haunting her home and her person. This individual continues to report incidents and activities as of March 2016. The entire state of California is a UFO and orb hotspot.
There's a second species on this planet. They're not extraterrestrials. They're very much with us. The remnants of their civilizations are all over the place. They're very distinct from Homo sapiens. Their DNA is so different.
you know, these strange entities, these weird beings that we're seeing, so many people are reporting in the world today, they've been here for a very long time. I do firmly believe that we're in a period where these encounters have accelerated at a rather alarming rate. These entities will place themselves in a position where they appear to be beneficial. They're here to help, talking about a comparison to the Greys and other things, because all of the lore about the jinns is that they are able to shape-shift, that they are able to take physical form. Again, something that's reflected around the world, this idea of another race of beings that lived here among humans.
They're alive and running around and doing all kinds of mischief.
Number 4. Eastern Minneapolis. This resident titled his first Anunnaki sighting as Demon Possession of Trees. Next was the orb infestation of trees. From there, his reports were attempting to determine if an alien portal was in those particular trees.
What the snake entities do, these are interdimensional snake entities that embed themselves energetically. They would have us believe that there's only grays and more grays, and hybrid variants of grays. They completely just try to debunk reptilians, and they certainly try to debunk reports of human-looking aliens. In fact, they say, oh, those are just hybrids of grays and humans. That's completely wrong. These reptilians are the controlling factor. We reside within their sphere of influences. Some of them are even shapeshifters. Well, lichen beings, wolf beings, feline beings, it runs the gamut. So it's a frequency war, and real.
Others have labeled them as yeast-like entities that bleed through the organic material in the trees.
There's beings behind beings behind beings. The snake beings actually are in more control than the reptilians. What the snake entities do, these are interdimensional snake entities that embed themselves energetically. Snake entities do is they embed themselves. And so what these snake entities do is they embed themselves.
It's very important to remember that the Anunnaki are physical beings like you and I. Through all the impressive holography and elaborate masks, we can lose sight of this fact. The truth is that they are not like humans, but have very plain, simple bodies like humans do. And to some degree, they are organic. It is something they do not want us to know, but it is something we have already seen and have on film. Case number 5.
In Alabama. This woman continues to document and report what she has been filming as spooky beings and people in camo gear stalking her and hiding in the trees beginning in August 2012. The scenario is the same as the others. The trees are laden with entities that morph and shift with the foliage and the breeze for months on end as she spends hours and hours filming them. Included are continual sky anomalies and pulsing UFOs.
Western society has treated these beings like make-believe, fairy tales, and has given no credence to the long-running records, stories, warnings, tales, legends of our ancestors. Our ancestors not that long ago. When did our ancestors, our great-great-grandparents, and great-great-uncles become so naive, so stupid, uneducated, unaware of their world? And yet these people are the ones that forwarded us into our own modern age with their intelligence and innovations. And now we regard them as childish in their evaluations of these paranormal and creature cryptoid type reports.
Although this resident appears angry and fed up, there does not seem to be any injury to her, and she continues to share what she finds in her yard in the forest near her home in Alabama.
We have insulted and discredited them when it comes to these beings as well as other beings that may have been here. It's embarrassing.
This is what we find as a rare case in which the individual is continually exposed to the Anunnaki and yet not harmed.
Number 6 is located in New Mexico. Beginning in November 2012, a Roswell, New Mexico resident reported alien activity as entities in the trees at his home and rooftops.
I see you over there. I see you over there by the fence. I see you. I'm going to zoom on you here. Let me zoom on you. Okay? Nothing to be scared of. Come on out. Oh, Jesus. Show it right there. Okay, I'm going to stop.
Noted the camera blurring.
There are literally hundreds of displaced lights and darks in these photographs. And it takes approximately 4 hours to unmask just one.
These reports eventually came to chasing the aliens around town, attempting to film them and fight them openly.
I'm probably flat my tire, man. Here we go. We got it from 2 angles. See, like 4 of them moving, they have a face. There we go. Take it out, girl.
Notice the camera difficulties.
I just got a flight.
Their various technologies are phenomenal, and their holography is astounding and an extreme challenge to the best investigative artist.
Take one of, oh, here comes the cops probably, right? And there's the sun, lad. No, just a hair off of the trees. There you go, bud. Okay, we're gonna zoom in, guys. I see when they're ready, man. Show me yourself, please. I don't like snakes. Believe that. I see you in the field there, man.
These reports eventually came to attempted abduction. All reports stopped as of June 2015, with no more word of the situation.
Take note of the camera quality during this filming.
Okay, so this is the video. This is, I believe, where we ran out of gas.
But one thing is absolutely clear, and that is these beings do not want to be seen. They do not want their true image discovered. There's no doubt that they will go to extreme lengths to hide what they look like. Number 7
is in Australia. Here on private acreage, a young boy lived with his mother, who were both increasingly harassed by the Anunnaki. Eventually, after 7 years, they finally moved away from open countryside into a city apartment. The boy became more aggressive over the years, investigating and finally fighting and threatening these bizarre invaders. The entire collection of videos exposes a scenario of youthful, innocent attempts to show friendly courtesies to friendly aliens that shifts to a gradual realization that these beings were harmful, resulting in alarm and panic. The boy, by age of 24, had endured many insults and ragged attempts to discredit the footage he was obviously gathering. All of those attempts failed in light of the consistency of the long-running documentation and footage.
taken 30 or 40 of these photographs, you know what they look like. You know every feature, every detail, and the unmasking rules are very strict. You can only use the manipulation of light and dark and depth. You cannot touch up the image in any way, and that makes the job very difficult.
The study was concluded in '64. They concluded that there were 4 different groups. Out of those 4 different groups, one group looked exactly like we do. So much so that they could sit beside you in a restaurant or in an airplane or in a theater, and you'd never know.
Fantastic displays of holography were terribly disturbing to this small family. Fire was one caught on film.
The wall's on fire! No! What the? I heard something down here. Things on fire. Come on. Focus. Burn the wall too.
Just got burned. It's on the wall. It's like, you know, it's kind of got a melted shiny look to it.
Was over on the left. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's in the grass, sure. Hang on down there.
The boy was actually injured quite badly, more than once chasing these beings off. They do attack, and quite viciously.
Am I afraid of him? No more than I am afraid of a hyperpsychotic criminal. Humanity has plenty of those. The Anunnaki, the Jinn, they're definitely on that list.
This boy, who grew very fast into a man during his years of recording these events, is truly a hero and took complete charge in protecting his mother and home, regardless of the harsh public treatment for his reports and courage.
In Britain, there was an incident in Chichester, England that publicly surfaced, was posted heavily on the internet, disappeared for several years, and resurfaced again. It is believed that the incident took place in the early 90s when high-definition video quality was not yet available on the internet. The footage associated with the incident has been analyzed with forensic art techniques to reveal Anunnaki presence at the scene. The incident was reported to be a crash of a draconian ship, and the day and nighttime footage to be the retrieval of the debris and bodies on that ship. Local authorities were said to be attending the situation.
There's very little written about this subject. There's an absolute dearth, a real vacuum of knowledge and information. There was a woman author who wrote a book, and it was one of the very few books available. Someone lent it to me and I had a read of it, and I think it would be quite useful for someone who didn't know anything about the jinn. It's really poorly understood in the Western world, incredibly well understood in the Eastern world.
Witnesses claim that the police authorities told them that information on the incident was classified, and although a witness claimed that extraterrestrials were sighted at the scene, he was not ridiculed, arrested, nor debated, but only repeatedly told that information on the incident was classified. The footage is of poor quality, and the usual Anunnaki film blurring and area frequency distortion is fully present. It is immediately and obviously determined that these are Anunnaki and that there is a ship or a craft in the scene.
I was there, I was in the car park, I remember. I spoke to the police, I spoke to the fire brigade, the police, the fire services, the military. I saw people searching the fields in military Land Rovers. It sounds so stupid saying this, but like their chins are elongated and they've got long necks and long legs. And all I remember is a policeman telling me I shouldn't be here and I've got to leave. I tried to get closure when I went to the police station. The things I said, I don't know, if the average person walked into a police station and said to their faces what I said, I don't think they'd let you back out again. Even though I didn't walk away with any answers, just to get someone from the police force telling me that what I'm trying to ask them about that's happened to me is classified, I was happy with that, because it gave me something, and they could have sat there and gone, no, you're a loony.
Well, the world of 1945 was complex. The world of 2016 is intensely complex. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I know there's many others who can tell you that as well. And you will graduate and be in that world, and you're going to be leading the soldiers and the sailors, the airmen and the Marines in that world. You'll be dealing with hybrid armies. You'll be dealing with little green men. You're going to be dealing with tribes. You'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders.
On a public security and military level, we now take a look into other countries and find Anunnaki engagement in several places, of which we can briefly report on a few. We will begin in Russia. Many years of rumors of the ghost-haunted areas of the Chernobyl exclusion zone led first to a better look at those hushed rumors to confirm other sightings or incidents within the zone that may be Anunnaki related. Following a recent investigation that was televised, footage and snapshots of the findings were gathered and examined.
Alright guys, we gotta get out of this room. That counter is way too hot.
On a strong note here, whatever the film first appears to be, closer analysis has determined that no human beings were involved and that the notorious infighting of the Anunnaki race is responsible for the violence and aggression in the entirety of the scene. The backstory on this film is intriguing. There is a popular Russian online computer game called Stalker, of which sold 2 million copies worldwide in 2008. The game portrays a post-1986 Chernobyl nuclear explosion environment in a radiation exclusion zone of 1,000 square miles of Ukrainian land surrounding the disaster area. No one enters the zone, and its borders are guarded by the Russian military. The footage was said to be merely an advertisement or promotion for that virtual online game. Further investigation reveals that there is a large subculture in Russia that lives a true reality that parallels the online game. The footage was titled as Zombies in the Exclusion Zone. The footage first appeared on military.com in 2010. The zone security watermark appearing on the film leads to a Russian computer tech firm. As far as we know, the tech firm has nothing to do with the game Stalker. The Pripyat area, where the nuclear plant exploded, is highly radioactive to this day. There are many reasons for the investigation into this case. The strange and unusual quality of the footage, the beings in the footage, the highly disturbed reaction of the border patrol in the helicopter, the odd way the video surfaced to the public, and because Russian military appeared to be filming the incident. For these reasons, closer inspection with unmasking artists were attempted.
hybrid army. We'll be dealing with little green men.
Lastly, in Guadalajara in 2008, we find footage of Anunnaki running on top of a high-rise building. Sirens are evident in the background, and in Spanish, you hear the camera person exclaim to his friend that it is extraterrestrials. The Anunnaki move very fast in the footage, and thoroughly displays their differences with our human space-time continuum. Their movements are blurred, quick, and darting, with holographic clouding and masking, and their bodies are irregularly shaped, and their behavior clearly not human. The stretching, elongated necks, the blank direct stare, the robes and shifting masks, the signatures are all there. It is not clear if the local authorities were managing the scene. Only sirens are heard and the surrounding area was not filmed. Stabilizing the footage was a challenge, as with all Anunnaki footage. But clear, fully present images are easily captured by the dozens in this footage of a daring public appearance. stage actors has been the only argument made to this video, and at a minimum of closer inspection, this suggestion is quickly discarded. These are not human beings. It's all here in this footage. The garb, the gold adornments, the same face and body structure, and signatures. These are the Anunnaki, humanoid hybrids of the well-documented ancient Anunnaki race, fully present in Guadalajara, Mexico in 2008. To find the United States Army Chief of Staff explaining to new military officers that they will be fighting little green men and hybrid armies comes as no surprise. The current statistics on the knowledge and beliefs about alien species and hybrid humanoids around the world certainly confirms that the Army Commander-in-Chief was only telling officers and attending reporters what well over 50% of Americans already know or believe. In 2015, the Huffington Post YouGov survey reported that 50% of Americans believe alien life exists. 33% were not yet sure, and only 17% of Americans believed that alien life does not exist. Only 17% of America does not believe that alien life exists. That is by a large margin, a minority. The 1996 Gallup poll revealed that 75% of Americans believed in UFOs. In fact, the entire history of humanity is littered with art and literature about aliens and UFOs. For historians, scientists, public media managers, or governments to claim that they know nothing about aliens and have no proof is decidedly absurd and even bizarre, as the majority of the world has reason and cause to believe otherwise. Whatever the motives of the major medias to support the minority is not the topic of this presentation. This presentation is to provide further knowledge for those who already know, and to address and fortify their credibility and to support their competent assessment of the reality of their situations and environment. Everyone knows that the government and the military have methodically withheld public announcement of anything they know about on the topic of extraterrestrials. In fact, the comic and theatrical way in which they deny and blow off the topic should be a first clue. The term overacting leaps to mind. Is this overacting deliberate? Should we be reading between the lines? So one important possibility to consider before criticizing our government anymore is that they may not be able to tell us anything outright, and may be counting on us, for once, to expose and explain for ourselves. It is time to stop criticizing and blaming our government when plenty of evidence is right in front of our own eyes, and obviously our government has been given a clearly detectable gag order from someone.
the creatures would back off and then suddenly just disappear to ward off or fend off, resist these creatures, and even get them to stay away permanently. Righteous anger, in other words, focused anger against the creatures that are taking away their inalienable right. Some of the cultures use the magnet that affects the dimension or the form of the creature. They are not physical like we are. They're not made of a chemical.
One of the key things to do is to strengthen your boundary between your inviolate right to not be manipulated or taken over by an outside force, whether it's a human force or some other kind of entity, to push out that will. And sometimes it requires what I call righteous anger, that you have to get some energy up about it.